The thing about working Black Friday isn't the crowds. It's the hum. That fluorescent, migraine hum that never stops, even when you blink, even when you dream. They say after a few months on register you start hearing it in your sleep. I'm only 3 weeks in, and I already hear it when I close my eyes. I clocked in at 4:47 p.m., right when the managers were losing their minds over crowd control. Out beyond the glass doors was a sea of tents, lawn chairs, and battery-powered speakers blasting Christmas music that sounded like static through a dying radio. Trish Blackhawk stood by the podium, chewing the same piece of gum she's probably been working since Reagan was president. Her eyes were hard little blue LEDs. "Keep it moving, Mace," she said. "Smile, scan, don't question prices. Tonight's about volume." "Yes, ma'am," I said, trying to sound awake. My scanner already smelled like ozone from overuse. She leaned in close. "If anything jams, hit cancel twice. If that don't work," she tapped the AR-15 under the counter, "we improvise." I thought she was kidding. She wasn't. At 4:59 p.m., the world outside went silent. 10,000 bodies inhaled at once. And then the doors sighed open. The first wave didn't walk, it collapsed inward, a human tide rolling over itself. The air changed, hot, wet, chemical. Perfume and sweat and battery acid. A stroller hit my lane like a bullet, spinning on one wheel. Someone screamed. Someone laughed. My register blinked "Welcome to Eagle Ridge Massacre, Midnight Moon Sale" in cheerful blue letters that didn't match the noise. "Next," I called. The belt started moving. That's when the first body jammed the scanner. She was maybe 40, reindeer sweater flashing red and green LEDs. Her cart overflowed with televisions and plastic centers. She leaned over to grab a candle set, and the necklace she wore, one of those fiber optic ones, caught in the conveyor belt seam. I reached for the stop switch, but my thumb slipped on sweat. The motor accelerated. The hum became a scream. The necklace pulled, skin tore, and the machine ate her face in 2 seconds flat. There was blood on the receipt printer. A snow globe display fell over, shattered, and the fake snow turned pink. For one frozen heartbeat, everyone stared. Then Trish's voice cracked over the PA, bright and calm. "Keep shopping. Clean up on lane 13. And somehow, they did. Carts rolled forward. A kid asked for a refund. A man yelled about his coupon. I stood there with a scanner dripping red, and nobody cared. By 5:12 p.m., we had 4 injuries, 3 fights, and 1 missing toddler. The store playlist skipped from Mariah Carey to a single monotone note that hung in the speakers like tinnitus. DeRay Jackson, the frozen foods guy, was live streaming from his phone, yelling into the camera. We out here at the Ridge, y'all. First blood already spilled. Hashtag Megamart Massacre. I wanted to tell him to stop, but I couldn't find my voice. Trish came over, heels clicking on tile slick with bleach. She looked at the body bag, maintenance already had one ready, and then at me. "First timer?" I nodded. She smiled a strange, soft smile. "It gets easier." They zipped the woman up and wheeled her behind seasonal goods. The crowd parted just enough to let them pass, then closed again like nothing happened. I kept scanning. TVs, toys, guns, candles, coffee makers. The barcode beep was louder than the hum now, high, nervous, heartbeat fast. A boy threw up near electronics. 2 guys fought over an air fryer. Security dragged them apart, but one didn't get up. His head hit the corner of a pallet. Crack. Blood on the floor again. The crowd cheered like it was halftime. By 5:30, I'd stopped feeling my hands. The register kept freezing, receipts printing blank. Each time I rebooted, the display showed a different message. Thank you for your sacrifice. One price fits all. Express lane to hell, open. I thought it was a glitch. I told myself it was a glitch. Trish called over the radio. Maintenance, we got a clog in drain B, looks organic. Bill McCoy, the boiler guy, answered with a grunt. On my way. Behind me, Scanny Ortiz was arguing with a customer about a mispriced vacuum. She was 8 months pregnant and still faster on the keys than any of us. When the woman tried to shove past, Scanny slammed the register drawer shut so hard it snapped the woman's thumbnail. The customer screamed. Trisha's voice came over the PA again, only it wasn't quite her voice. Deeper. Slower. Stay in your aisles. Everyone froze for a beat. Then the fluorescent lights flickered, just once, and the voice reset to normal. Ha ha, doorbusters in electronics, folks. DeRay slid past my lane with his phone out. Yo, Mace. You see that? Power just glitched and my Wi-Fi jumped to, like, 10 bars. Whole store lit up with a hotspot that says Cold Vault. You know what that is? I shook my head. Probably corporate testing new routers. He laughed. No, bro. This store been haunted since the 80s. You didn't hear. Dude fell in the meat freezer and froze solid mid-blink. They never found him when they did renovations. Word is he's still back there on ice. I told him to shut up, but part of me wanted him to keep talking, anything to drown out the hum. At 5:45, the intercom crackled again. Marcus Delgado to backroom, Trish said. I wiped my hands on sanitizer that smelled like vodka and followed the flickering exit sign. The hallway behind the sales floor was narrow, lined with dented lockers and a single buzzing light. It smelled like wet cardboard and rust. Trish stood at the end, clipboard in hand. Need you to restock express candy. Also, she hesitated. You hear anything weird? Define weird. Voices. In the vents. I almost laughed, but she wasn't joking. Her jaw twitched, gum grinding between molars. Boiler's acting up again, she said. Bill says it's whispering. Just keep your head down. Tonight's revenue pay for your mom's treatments, right? My stomach dropped. I hadn't told her about that. She winked. I read payroll notes, sweetheart. Go on. When I turned back toward the sales floor, the hallway lights cut out, not a flicker, just dead. My phone flashlight barely worked. The beam showed old red handprints smeared across the drywall, long since dried. A cold draft moved through the vents, carrying the faintest sound of chanting, rhythmic, low, like distant drums under the floor. I told myself it was the HVAC. By the time I reached my register again, DeRay was gone. So was the body from earlier. They'd replaced the floor tiles, polished, disinfected, perfect. Except for one thing, the belt still moved on its own, slow and steady, though I hadn't touched the pedal. A candy bar rolled across the surface, stopped in the center, and the scanner beeped without a barcode. The receipt printed by itself, item not found in database. Another line appeared beneath it, do not leave. I backed away. Across the store, the crowd suddenly went quiet, that eerie synchronized hush, like the power's about to go out. Every head turned toward frozen foods. A single clang echoed from the far aisle. Metal on metal. Then another. The door to the old walk-in freezer, the one with the "keep sealed since 1987" sign, creaked open 2 inches. Fog rolled out, thick and white, crawling along the tiles. DeRay's voice came faint through the speakers, not the intercom, his phone, patched somehow into the PA. "Yo, everybody, check this out, I found a coal vault." Laughter. Cheers. Applause. Then a scream so sharp it cut through static. The sound repeated on every speaker in the store, delayed by half a second, echoing down aisles until it felt like it was inside my skull. The freezer door swung wider. My lane lights flickered red. The receipt printer spat out one final line. "Sale ends when the doors close." And then, somewhere behind the walls, something knocked back. The sound that came from the freezer wasn't human. It was too low, too wet, like someone gargling air through a punctured throat. The fog spilling from the door crawled across the tile in waves, coating sneakers, cuts, and ankles until the whole aisle looked underwater. "DeRay," I said into my radio. Static. I tried again. Answer me." Nothing. Trish's voice broke through on channel 1. "Everyone stay at your stations. Loss prevention's checking the feed." The feed. Winston Ghost Mallory lived up there, in the surveillance tower above customer service, hadn't come down in years. I imagined him staring through 200 cameras right now, watching the fog creep like veins through the store. The crowd around frozen foods was fuming. Phones out, faces glowing blue. Someone shouted, "It's part of the sale," and laughed. Another woman pushed forward, holding up a toddler for a better view. Then DeRay's live stream cut in again, not from his phone, from every screen in electronics. The TVs played his feet, shaky light, breathless laughter, the freezer door yawning wide behind him. "Yo, we viral, baby. 2 mil live." He stepped inside. Behind him, frost blossomed on the frame, sealing the edges in white. His camera light swept across shapes that weren't boxes, weren't pallets, pale limbs stacked like cordwood, faces frozen in mid-scream, eyes crystallized but still wet. "Man, what the F?" he started, and the feed glitched. A blur of motion, a flash of teeth. Then the picture went black. Every freezer door in the store slammed shut at once. The sound hit like gunfire. People screamed. I ran toward the aisle before I even thought about it. The fog burned cold against my jeans, sharp as dry ice. Something clattered beside me, a can of soup, rolling uphill. When I turned, it wasn't uphill anymore. The floor shifted. Tiles rippled underfoot like something breathing beneath them. I caught the shelf edge to stay upright. My breath fogged the air, the temperature was dropping fast. Somewhere behind the fog, a child was crying for his mom. Then the PA clicked on, and Winston's voice came through, hoarse, quivering. "Whatever's in that vault, it ain't human. Back away from the freezers." Trish yelled over him, her mic cutting in and out. "No one leaves their post, you hear me? We keep order." Her sentence died in a burst of feedback. The lights stuttered. Half the store plunged into darkness. I pulled out my phone, flashlight trembling across the shelves. Packages of frozen peas and microwave dinners vibrated inside their glass doors, humming at the same pitch as the ceiling lights. The hum. It was changing, deeper now, almost a chant. Something banged against the inside of one freezer. Once. Twice. On the third hit, the glass fractured like ice on a pond. A hand pressed through, gray, frostbitten, veins glowing faint blue. Fingertips dug into the crack, forcing it wider. A woman's face appeared behind the glass, skin stretched tight, eyes rimmed with frost. She smiled. The glass shattered outward. The crowd scattered, trampling each other. I ducked behind an end cap as frozen air poured out, filling the world with a sound like wind through dead trees. The woman stepped free, joints cracking as she straightened. Her mouth opened wider than it should have. The sound that came out was the same hum that had lived in these lights for decades. She wasn't alone. One by one, figures peeled themselves from the walls of the vault, men, women, children, all wearing Black Friday badges from different years. 1994, 2003. 2015, they moved like broken puppets, snapping forward with each flicker of the lights. Someone fired a gun. The report echoed, deaf under the ceiling. The bullet tore through one of them, and did nothing. No blood. Just frost dust and a hole that closed like ice melting backward. Trish appeared beside Sporting Goods, AR-15 in hand, eyes fierce. Back up, back up. These people are customers, damn it. She fired anyway. The muzzle flash lit up the aisle like lightning. The rounds blew chunks of frost from their torsos, but they kept coming. I grabbed a stray kid by the arm, maybe 8, and dragged him behind an overturned cart. He was shaking so hard his teeth clicked. Close your eyes, I said. He didn't. He stared over my shoulder. They're singing, he whispered. And they were. Soft, rhythmic, ancient. The same Cherokee melody that played through the store speakers sometimes when Lily Red Hawk cleaned after hours. Only now it was layered, wrong, half-remembered. Lily burst from the janitor's corridor, hair wild, clutching a bone-handled tomahawk that looked older than the store itself. She swung it through one of the frostings. The blade hissed. The creature screamed like metal scraping metal and collapsed into vapor. She shouted something in Cherokee, fast, sharp, then turned to me. Salt. You got salt? Candy, I said stupidly. Gum. Useless, she spat, and kept swinging. The things were multiplying, crawling out of the vault like smoke given shape. Each one carried a faint glow in the chest, where a price tag should hang. The tags read clearance. Trish barked orders into her radio, but half the frequencies were dead. Winston's voice came through once more, whisper fast, they're all over the cameras. Every aisle. Same face, same eyes. If you're hearing me, kid, get to housewares. Red Hawk knows the way. Lily grabbed my sleeve and yanked. We ran. The store felt endless now, aisles stretching longer than geometry allowed, looping back on themselves. Displays melted into new ones mid-blink. The smell of copper and freezer burn filled my nose. Somewhere behind us, Scanny screamed, my water broke. I didn't dare look back. When we hit housewares, Lily dropped to her knees, tearing open 50-pound bags of rock salt. She dumped them in a circle, drew symbols with bleach from a spray bottle, and lit a bundle of sage. The smoke rose in straight lines, defying the air conditioning. What's happening? I panted. She didn't look up. Your boss's family stole this land. They buried the bodies under concrete and price tags. Every year, the night of the sale, the ground remembers. Then why not close the place? Her eyes flashed. Because greed is the oldest curse of all. The floor vibrated. From the fog came a sound like drum beats, synchronized with the beeping of every scanner in the store. One by one, registers began printing on their own. Receipts poured out like ribbons, each line the same. Return unauthorized. Return unauthorized. return unauthorized. The chant outside the salt circle grew louder. Shapes pressed against the perimeter, faces flickering between human and something carved from ice. Lily raised her tomahawk, voice steady. They can't cross the salt. The lights above us flared, forming 5 perfect points, a glowing pentagram mirrored in the polished floor. Every bulb in the store buzzed in unison, a 60 Hz war cry. Trish's voice came back over the PA, distorted and furious, everyone to housewares. Now. Then a shotgun blast cut the line. From somewhere near sporting goods came another sound, the boiler, groaning like a beast waking under the floor. Hot air blew through the vents, turning the frost to steam. The ghosts screamed as their bodies boiled away, leaving puddles that steamed into nothing. For a second, it worked. Then the fog thickened again, darker this time, as if the store itself exhaled. From within it stepped a figure taller than the rest, wearing a manager's badge that read Black Hawk, P. Only Trish was still alive. The apparition smiled with her face but older, cracked, eyes full of static. "You can't banish what you built," it said, voice doubling through the PA. Lily threw the tomahawk. It passed through and embedded in a display of air fryers. The fake Trish laughed, and every screen in electronics lit up with DeRay's frozen feet, his face staring, mouth open, frost climbing his skin. The feet whispered, "Respect the date or join them." The apparition raised its hands. Every fluorescent tube above us shattered inward, raining glass and blue sparks. The salt circle flared white. Lily screamed words I didn't understand, her voice blending with the chant. For a heartbeat, the entire store hung suspended, carts midair, receipts frozen like snow. Then the lights went out completely. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying on the floor of housewares. The salt circle was still there, scorched black now. Lily knelt beside me, bleeding from her ear, breathing hard. "They're gone," she whispered. "For now." From the distance came the whine of the boiler winding up again. A smell of wet metal drifted through the vents. I stood, dizzy, and looked around. The aisles were empty except for discarded carts and frostburned mannequins. Trish's radio crackled from somewhere under a pile of toasters. Her voice, the real one this time, barely a whisper. "Mace, if you can hear me, don't go near the basement." The line cut. Lily looked at me. "What time is it?" I checked the register clock. 8:02 p.m. The hum started again, lower, slower, matching the rhythm of a heartbeat. And beneath our feet, the floor breathed. When the hum came back, it was slower. Like breathing through metal lungs. Every fluorescent light along aisle 12 flickered in sequence, click click click, until the whole row pulsed like a spine under the ceiling. The air smelled like burnt insulation and freezer frost. My hands still shook from what I'd seen in housewares. Lily was gone, off hunting Trish through the dark with her tomahawk and that look in her eyes, half faith, half fury. I was alone at Express Lane 13 again, pretending normal still existed. A single register light glowed over me, halo blue. It felt like the last heartbeat in a dead animal. The store playlist tried to restart. The speakers hissed, caught 1 second of "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree," then melted into static and whispers that weren't English. Somewhere in that whisper I heard my name, stretched, dragged, Mace. I told myself it was air in the vents. Then Winston's voice exploded over the PA, panic and raw. "They're back on every camera. Same figure, hooded, every aisle, every angle. It's the same person, Mace. The same one." I looked up at the security dome above me. Behind the mirrored glass, a shape shifted, a blur of black fabric, face hidden. It raised a hand. Every other camera bubble around the store flickered with the same motion. 10, 20, 50 copies of the same hooded figure waving once, like a mirror teaching me how to drown. Winston. I yelled into the radio. Shut the feeds. His breath rasped through the speaker. Can't. They're not my feeds anymore. Then the power failed. All at once, everything went black. The emergency lights snapped on, dim red halos bleeding through fog. The automatic doors at the front slammed with a thunder that shook the floor. A chorus of metal chains clanged outside. Someone screamed near toys. Another voice shouted for help, then cut short with a wet crunch. The smell of copper returned, thicker this time, warm enough to taste. I ducked behind the register as the first gunshot cracked. The sound didn't echo, it just got eaten by the ceiling. A flashlight beam cut through the dark, Sheriff Crow, badge glinting. He'd made it inside somehow, boots dripping rainwater, revolver drawn. Anybody alive? He barked. Here. I called, half standing. He swung the light on me. His face looked older than it had on the flyers, skin grey under the strobing red light. Where's the manager? Gone. Basement, maybe. He muttered a curse. That's where the noise is coming from. The radio on his shoulder crackled with overlapping voices, dispatch, panicked citizens, something chanting underneath them. He turned the volume down fast. Generator rooms under the boiler. If that thing blows, this whole damn place will light up like napalm. The vents above us shuddered. Steam poured out, smelling of bleach and rot. From the far end of the aisle came the hooded figure, one of them, at least. It walked between carts with deliberate grace, head tilted like it was listening to some private choir. Its feet didn't make sound on the tile. Crow lifted his gun. Stop right there. The figure stopped. Then it smiled. Under the hood was a blank white price tag where the face should be. It read $0. The sheriff fired once. The tag exploded in a burst of static, and every screen in electronics lit up again, showing the shot on infinite repeat. He fired again. This time, the bullet ricocheted and hit the soda cooler, spraying Diet Cola and glass. Damn thing's not real, he shouted. The figure vanished between blinks. The aisle was empty except for the echo of metal scraping metal. Come on, he said. We're regrouping with whoever's left. We headed toward customer service, past aisles that rearranged themselves when I wasn't looking. One moment it was pet supplies, the next lawn and garden. The mannequins from clothing stood in rows, all facing the same direction, toward the locked doors. Crow pushed one aside with his gun barrel. Don't look at them too long. Why? They move when you do. We made it halfway down seasonal before the intercom hissed again. At first, I thought it was Winston, but the voice was too slow, too pleased. Customers. Remain. Inside. Your receipt has not been validated. Every scanner in the store chirped in response, a single, perfect tone that merged with the hum. The lights above us brightened from red to icy blue. The mannequins turned their heads in unison. Crow grabbed my arm. Don't run. But my legs didn't care. We bolted for the tower stairs. I could see Winston's booth above, the glass pulsing with monitor light. Something moved inside, a silhouette hunched over a console, dozens of screens flashing static. Crow kicked the door open. The smell hit first, hot dust, stale coffee, and something sweetly rotten. Winston sat at the panel, eyes wide, skin grey. Cables snaked from the monitors into his spine. Literally into. Black wires vanished beneath his skin, feeding pulses that made his fingers twitch like a puppet's. Crow raised his gun, but Winston's head snapped toward us before he could speak. "Don't," Winston rasped. "They're watching through me. You shoot me, they see through you." I moved closer. "Who's they?" His eyes rolled white. On the screens, every aisle camera showed the same image again, the hooded figure, closer now, right behind us. Crow spun, nothing there. "Power room," Winston whispered. "Cut the feed. End the broadcast." Then his monitors went dark. His body slumped, cords smoking where they detached. Crow swore under his breath. "We're leaving." We reached the stairwell just as the floor below us began to glow, lines of light crawling through the tiles, tracing the store's layout in blue fire. It was a sigil. I didn't know how I knew that, but I did. From far below came a thud. Then another. Like fists on steel. "The boiler," Crow said. "Something's inside it." We hit the ground floor running. The fog was thicker than ever, cut by flashes of emergency strobes. Somewhere near Baby Goods, Scanny was crying, deep, guttural, between contractions. "I can't," she gasped when she saw us, "it's coming." Her water soaked the towel, steaming in the cold air. Crow knelt beside her, trying to stay calm. "Breathe. Where's your manager?" She's not human anymore," Scanny whispered. "She came back upstairs. Said the sale wasn't over." Then, behind her, the hooded figure stepped from the smoke. Crow fired 3 times, shouting. The rounds went straight through it, tearing holes in reality. Behind each hole was another aisle, another copy of us running the same path, lagging a second behind. Scanny screamed. The figure leaned over her, hand outstretched. Her belly bulged violently, the shape of a hand pressing out from the inside. Crow pulled her away. I kicked over a display of rock salt. The crystals scattered across the towel. Where they landed, the fog sizzled. The figure hissed, recoiling. That's when Lily appeared again, face streaked with blood and ash. She threw her tomahawk straight into the thing's chest. The blade lit like magnesium. The hood collapsed inward, the body folding into a spiral of smoke that got sucked through a floor vent. For a second, everything was silent. Scanny sobbed, clutching her belly. "It stopped kicking," she whispered. Crow looked at her, then at the vent still glowing faintly. "Basement. Now." Lily shook her head. "That's what it wants." Before we could argue, every exit light in the store turned green. The chains on the doors rattled. Crow ran to the front entrance and yanked the handle. It didn't budge. The doors flexed, glass bowing outward like lungs. Outside, his cruiser headlights flickered on by themselves. Through the windshield, something was sitting in the driver's seat, wearing his hat. The sheriff backed away slowly. "That's impossible." The figure in the car turned its head toward us. Its face was a blank receipt fluttering in the AC draft. The total read 666.00. Lily whispered a prayer. The lights exploded again. I hit the floor, hands over my ears, while the store's PA screamed like feedback made of voices. Through the noise came one final, crisp announcement. "Attention shoppers. Doors now closed. Thank you for your souls." The glass at the entrance sealed with frost, then shattered inward, spraying glittering shards across the floor. When the mist cleared, the parking lot beyond was empty, no cars, No people, no city lights. Just darkness stretching forever. The megamat was floating in a void. Crow whispered, "What the hell?" But the words died as the hum returned, deeper than ever, vibrating through our bones. The floor lights formed arrows pointing toward the back corridor, toward the sub-basement. The boiler wanted company. The floor lights kept pulsing toward the back, like the veins of the building were glowing under its skin. The hum had become a vibration you could feel through your ribs, like standing too close to a speaker the size of a house. Sheriff Crow led the way, revolver trembling. Lily followed with her tomahawk, whispering in Cherokee with each step, the words half drowned by the echo of distant machinery. I pushed a wheezing Scanny on a cart we turned into a makeshift stretcher. Every few seconds, she moaned, not from pain, but from something deeper, like the baby was listening to the hum and answering. We reached the maintenance corridor. The air here was hotter, thick with the smell of metal and damp cement. Pipes ran overhead, dripping. One of them was sweating blood. Bill McCoy's workbench sat outside the boiler room, coffee mug still steaming even though it had been hours since he disappeared. His radio crackled softly with fragments of conversation, words like pressure, feet, voices. Crow tested the door handle. It was warm. Then it turned on its own. The door swung open, breathing out a gust of air that hit us with the scent of scorched flesh and burnt hair. The light inside flickered in shades of orange and blue, like fire seen through a dream. We stepped in. The room was massive, bigger than it should have been, stretching far beyond the foundation. The boiler dominated the center, a 40-foot rusted cylinder covered in pipes and gauges that pulsed like arteries. Steam hissed from cracks, forming faces that whispered before dissolving. And there, kneeling beside it, was Bill. He was feeding something into an open hatch, not coal, not wood. It was bones. Human bones, charred black. "Bill!" Crow shouted. Bill turned. His face was half melted, skin fused with welding goggles. "She's hungry," he said calmly. "If she doesn't eat, the walls start to bleed." Lily raised her tomahawk. "Step away." He smiled. "Can't. I'm part of it now." The gauges on the boiler spun past red line, needles rattling. A voice echoed from inside the metal, soft, feminine, familiar. "Mace." I froze. It was my mother's voice. The same one that used to call me for dinner, soft and tired. "Mace, help me." They took my hat. I stumbled forward before Lily grabbed my arm. "It's lying," she hissed. But the voice shifted, coughing, gasping. "Mijo, please. I'm cold." The sound tore through me. My knees gave out. The hatch opened wider, and for a split second I saw her, or something wearing her, inside the boiler, a silhouette made of light and ash, reaching. Then the hatch slammed shut. Bill screamed, yanking on the wheel to reopen it. Steam burst from the pipes, scalding his hands to the bone. He didn't stop. "She said feed me," he howled. The pressure gauge shattered. A jet of steam blew through his chest, cutting him in half. His top half slid to the floor, still twitching, and the lower half took 2 more steps before collapsing. Scanny screamed. The sound set the boiler roaring. The temperature spiked, frost on the walls melting into a fine mist. Lily dragged me back. "It's waking up." The floor cracked under the boiler. Through the gap, I saw more metal, gears, chains, something turning deep beneath us. It wasn't a furnace. It was machinery. A machine made of souls. Crow fired 3 shots into the boiler. Each bullet hit, sparked, and vanished in light. The hum rose until it became a single unbearable tone. From the hatch, a plume of steam burst outward, forming a shape in midair, a woman made of light and soot, her features shifting between 100 faces. The voice came from all of them at once. We were the sail. The words vibrated in my skull. Images flashed behind my eyes, decades of shoppers, every Black Friday since 1987, crushed and burned and frozen, their souls fed to this machine to keep the store's doors open. Lily's chant cut through the roar. She threw handfuls of salt and sage into the air. The steam woman shrieked, flickering. For a moment, the hum broke, replaced by the sound of thousands of receipts tearing at once. Scanny gasped. It's coming. Her belly bulged again. Something was moving under her skin, pushing against it from inside. Crow dropped to help her, panic in his voice. Stay with me, stay with me. She screamed. Blood soaked through her shirt, black and glittering like oil. The thing in her belly laughed. Lily shouted, circle. Now. She drew a ring of salt around us just as the boiler erupted. A column of steam shot upward, blowing the roof open to darkness. Sparks fell like red snow. The light from the boiler turned crimson. Trish Blackhawk stepped out of the smoke. She looked alive again, too alive. Skin glowing from within, eyes lit like furnace doors. Her voice was calm, motherly. Bill was weak, she said. But the store endures. It always does. Crow aimed his gun. You're not human anymore, lady. She smiled. Neither are you. Before he could fire, she raised her hand. The bullet stopped midair, spinning. The next second, it turned molten and dropped to the floor with a hiss. You think you can burn down Eagle Ridge? She said. We're the backbone of America. We're consumption incarnate. The boiler answered with a pulse of heat that rattled my teeth. Behind her, the metal glowed red hot, faces pressing out from within like souls trapped under glass. Lily stepped forward. You stole this land. You built your church of greed on bones. Tonight they come to collect. Trish laughed softly. Then I'll give them a refund. She clapped her hands. The lights surged. Every product label in the store, from soda cans to price tags, turned black. The barcodes rearranged themselves into shifting runes. Crow lunged, but the floor split open beneath him. Steam swallowed him whole. His scream echoed once, then silence. Mace, Trish said, turning to me. You've been loyal. Hardworking. I could use a cashier like you in the news cycle. I backed away. You killed them. I saved them, she whispered. They get to stay. Forever 24-hour. Forever stopped. No death, no loss, just endless sale. She reached out her hand. Her palm glowed with corporate logos that flickered like wounds, Walmart, Eagle Ridge, 1,000 brands like sigils of power. Touch me, she said, and your mother lives. For a heartbeat, I almost believed her. Then Lily hurled her tomahawk. It hit Trish square in the chest. Light exploded, blinding, white, holy. The boiler screamed, releasing a torrent of steam that carried faces, shoppers, workers, children, all of them burning away into the ceiling. Trish stumbled, trying to pull the blade out, but her hands melted to smoke. You can't kill profit, she hissed. Lily's voice was still. Watch me. The tomahawk burst in flame. The boiler cracked in two. Steam howled out, forming tornadoes that sucked in shelves, products, bodies. I grabbed Skenny's cart and pushed with everything I had, through a wind that felt like it was screaming in every language at once. We burst through the corridor and into the main floor just as the boiler exploded. The blast threw us 30 feet. The ceiling caved in behind. I crawled up, half blind, ears ringing. The store was on fire, not normal fire, but blue, ghostly, eating sound itself. Through the smoke, I saw Trish one last time, or what was left of her, standing inside the inferno, hair made of flame, face split in a green too white to be human. She raised a finger to her lips. Shoo! Then the fire folded inward, swallowing her. The hum stopped. For the first time all night, there was silence. Skenny lay on her side, clutching her belly. The baby didn't move. Lily sat beside her, exhausted, ash covering her face. It's over, I said. She shook her head slowly. Look. I followed her gaze. The store's walls, melted, black, were reforming. The shelves rose back up, clean, stocked. The floor retiled itself. The lights flickered white again. The megamart was healing. And in the center of the floor, where Trish had vanished, stood a glowing orb, bright, pulsing, heart-sized. Lily whispered, the core. The heart of the sail. It beat once. Twice. Then it shot upward through the roof, leaving a hole that closed behind it like liquid glass. Every register beeped in perfect unison. Midnight moon sail now leave. The intercom clicked. Trish's voice, calm, cheerful, returned. Doorbuster deal. 85-inch 8K TVs, $99. Limit 1 per blood type. Lily stared at me, horrified. It's starting again. I checked the clock on the wall. 11:59 p.m. Then the minute hand twitched forward. 12 o'clock. And the doors opened by themselves. Midnight hit like a detonation of light. Every bulb in the store came alive at once, white hot, erasing the shadows and the smoke. For a breathless moment it almost looked normal again, aisles restocked, shelves tidy, floor gleaming as if a cleaning crew had worked through the carnage in fast forward. Then the PA chimed. Attention shoppers. The midnight moon sale is now live. The doors, the same doors we watched melt shut hours ago, slid open with their usual cheerful hiss. Beyond them was no parking lot, only a grey horizon of fog, and silhouettes moving inside it. Thousands of them. They poured in silently at first, pushing carts that scraped the tile. The crowd looked human from far away, but as they crossed under the lights I saw what was missing: eyes. Every socket was smooth glass reflecting fluorescent white. Lily grabbed my wrist. Those aren't customers. The intercom crackled again, Trish's voice sugar-sweet. Doorbusters. TVs $99. Limit 1 per blood type. The mob screamed and surged forward. Sound came rushing back, boots, wheels, breath, the thunder of 10,000 bodies. The aisles filled to bursting, carts smashing into displays. When two of the eyeless things collided, their faces shattered like porcelain, spraying dust that smelled of pennies and rain. Skenny moaned on the cart beside me. Mace, the baby's coming. Her belly heaved again, skin pulsing under the emergency lights. Something inside was trying to claw its way out. We need the infirmary, I said, even though I knew there wasn't one. Lily pointed toward the back offices. Break room. Move. We pushed through the oncoming tide. The air itself seemed to vibrate with the hum, now a bass line so deep it made the sprinkler pipes tremble. The mob didn't see us, they were too busy tearing each other apart for phantom deals. A man beat another's throat out over a box of discount blenders. Blood sprayed across end caps of holiday wreaths. The wreaths absorbed it, petals turning black. Above the chaos, the flat screens in electronics flickered on again. D-Ray's live stream, the one that should have died in the freezer, was broadcasting. He stood in front of a display wall, smiling too wide, frost still blooming across his face. "Yo yo yo, we live," he shouted. "Welcome to the Midnight Moon Sale, where the deals are to die for." Behind him, shapes moved. Not reflections, replays. Every death that had happened tonight was looping behind him on all the screens, sped up and reversed, like time itself was on clearance. Lily snarled and hurled a glass jar at one of the TVs. It shattered, sparks showering the floor, but the other screens multiplied, filling the ceiling, the shelves, even the glass doors of the coolers. Everywhere I looked, D-Ray was laughing. "Don't change the channel, fam, resurrection's coming in 3, 2. The lights strobed. The air bent. Bodies that had fallen earlier, the shoppers, the workers, even Bill's half-melted remains, jerked upright. The wounds sealed. Eyes opened, glowing white. They picked up where they'd left off, scanning barcodes, stacking shelves, humming the store jingle under their breath. Scanny screamed as her contractions hit again. Blood splashed the tile. The crowd parted around us as if obeying an invisible command, giving her space, a perfect circle in the madness. From the far side of the ring came Trish. She looked brand new, uniform spotless, name badge shining. But her shadow lagged half a second behind her, like bad video sync. When she smiled, her teeth reflected light that wasn't there. "Marcus," she said softly, "ring up the customer." I followed her gaze down. Scanny's belly was moving, a shape pressing out from the inside, fingers tracing symbols against her skin. The hum aligned with her heartbeat. Trish knelt, eyes bright with something between awe and greed. "Do you feel it? Corporate rebirth. A new generation of loyalty program." Lily raised her tomahawk. "Touch her and I'll split you again." Trish tilted her head. "You can't split what's already divided. We're franchised now." The floor buckled. Tiles rearranged into a massive sigil, the store logo twisted into a pentagram made of glowing barcodes. From each point, escalators rose from nothing, carrying ghost shoppers upward into the fog that passed for a ceiling. Scanny's scream cut through everything. The baby was coming fast, impossibly fast. The amniotic fluid hit the floor smoking, eating through tile. I tore my jacket, tried to help, but the light pouring from her stomach forced me back. The child wasn't shaped right, its bones glowed through translucent flesh, its mouth already open, crying in tones that matched the hum perfectly. Trish reached toward it. "My little manager in training." Lily hurled her tomahawk again. This time Trish caught it mid-air. The metal blackened in her hand. "You don't learn," Trish said, and drove the blade backward, straight into Lily's chest. The sound it made wasn't wet. It was electric, like a plug being pulled. Lily gasped, blood bubbling from her lips, and fell against a shelf of slow cookers that collapsed under her weight. "Lily!" I shouted. Trish ignored me, cradling the glowing infant. "See? Perfect inventory. Zero defect." The child opened its mouth wider. Light poured out, filling every aisle. Where it touched, people froze in place, turned translucent, then shattered into dust that drifted upward like sparks. The orb from before, the heart of the sale, descended again through the hole in the ceiling, pulsing faster. It hovered above Trish and the baby like a halo. The hum reached a new frequency, ultrasonic, unbearable. I crawled to Lily. Her hand gripped mine weakly. "Salt," she whispered. "Fire." I looked around. One shelf of clearance items had old camping gear, propane tanks, lighter fluid. I grabbed two, twisted the valves open. The hiss of gas joined the hum, harmonizing in the worst possible way. Trish watched me with a mother's patience. "You don't want to do that, Marcus. You're part of us now." I flicked the lighter. A small blue flame danced in the wind. "For my mom," I said. "For all of them." I threw the lighter. The explosion ripped through the aisle, blue fire rolling over everything. The blast flung me backward, slamming me against a freezer door that shattered behind me. I hit the ground hard enough to see stars. When the ringing in my ears faded, the world was burning. Mannequins melted. Shelves drooped. The air reeked of melted plastic and salt. Trish stood at the center of it, engulfed in flame but untouched, holding the child that screamed in pure light. The orb above her flickered. Cracks ran across its surface. For the first time, Trish looked uncertain. The hum faltered. The rhythm broke. Lily, half dead, whispered a final word, a prayer or a curse, and slammed her bloody hand against the tomahawk still lodged in her chest. The blade ignited with white fire. Trish screamed, dropping the infant. The child hit the floor and shattered like glass, releasing a blast of light that tore through the store. The orb burst. Everything went silent except for the crackle of dying flames. The mob froze mid-motion, then crumbled to ash. The aisle straightened. The hum died. I crawled to where Lily lay. Her eyes were open, unfocused. "Did we stop it?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "For now." Her hand went limp. I sat there, surrounded by smoke and the smell of burnt plastic, until I realized the sprinklers weren't working. The store was healing again, slowly, ash flowing backward into shelves, walls knitting together. But this time the lights didn't turn white. They glowed a sickly amber, like dawn seen through nicotine-stained glass. The PA clicked. Trish's voice returned, weak but smiling. "Restocking complete. Shift change in 5 minutes." Her laughter echoed through every vent. I looked up. The orb's fragments hung suspended in the air, rearranging themselves into new shapes, tiny versions of the Eagle Ridge logo, multiplying like cells. Scanny stirred, pale and shaking. Her belly was flat. Empty. "Where's my baby?" she whispered. From the speakers came the faint cry of an infant, not near us, but everywhere. It giggled, soft and electric. Trish's final whisper layered beneath it, "Stores closed." The emergency lights blinked out. The sprinklers came on at 2:07 a.m., late, lazy, spitting lukewarm water that smelled like pennies and bleach. It hissed down over everything, and the fire that should have eaten the store only sighed and went out. No smoke alarms. No sirens. Just the wet hiss and the hum returning, softer now, like the building was breathing again. Lily was gone. So was her weapon. Only a smear of salt remained where she'd fallen, already dissolving in the sprinkler rain. Scanny leaned against the checkout counter, trembling, the emptiness in her eyes worse than any wound. Every few seconds she whispered, "Where's my baby?" The PA system whispered the same words back in perfect unison. I couldn't stand it. I turned every knob and switch I could find, trying to kill the sound, but the panels were fused. Behind the walls, The store's veins pulse with light. Shelves refill themselves one product at a time, new boxes appearing in stacks, text printing from thin air. The reset had begun. "Trish is dead," I muttered. I saw her burn. Scanny looked up. Her pupils were gone, only white reflections of ceiling lights remained. "She was the store," she said. "Stores don't die. They rebrand." Her laughter broke halfway, turned into a sob. I wanted to comfort her, but every instinct screamed move. The intercom clicked again. Winston's voice, or what was left of it, oozed through the speakers. "Clean up on every lane." Then static, like a laugh chopped to pieces. I headed toward customer service. The air was thick, sticky. The floor mat squished with something warmer than water. When I passed Express Lane 13, my register flickered awake. The display read, "Welcome back, Marcus Delgado. Shift resumes in 30 seconds." "No," I whispered. "I quit." The barcode scanner answered with a single red flash that cut across my palm like a laser. Blood welled. The register beeped happily and printed a receipt. The paper burned as I touched it. The words were still legible through the smoke. "Termination denied. Employment eternal." I dropped it and kept walking. Near the front doors, the mannequins from clothing were standing again, neatly posed in a display that hadn't been there before, all of them dressed like employees. Blue vests, name tags. One mannequin wore my face. Its badge said Marcus Delgado, Express Lane 13. When I stared too long, it blinked. A crash echoed from the back, the boiler room door slamming open. A surge of steam poured into the main aisle, carrying voices that weren't screaming anymore, they were chanting. Low. Content. Like workers humming on the job. Scanny's voice joined them, almost peacefully. She stood, straightened her ruined uniform, and started walking toward the sound. I grabbed her arm. She didn't resist, she just smiled, vacant. "It's feeding time," she said. "I have to clock in." She slipped from my grasp and disappeared into the fog. I was alone. At 3 a.m., the store lights dimmed to a gentle dawn hue. Birdsong, fake, pre-recorded, played over the speakers. An announcement followed, cheerful as ever. "Good morning, Eagle Ridge Associates. Let's make today magical." I stumbled toward the front. The automatic doors sensed me and opened onto nothing, no fog, no parking lot, only a blank white horizon stretching forever. The air outside was perfectly still, scentless. I stepped halfway through, but something in the threshold fought me, an invisible wind pushing inward. The store wouldn't let me go. I turned back. Every aisle was lit now. The shelves gleamed. The floors sparkled. And behind every counter stood a smiling employee. Their eyes were hollow, but their smiles were perfect. Trish stood at the center of them, immaculate, clipboard in hand. "Good morning, team," she said. Her voice filled every aisle without needing the PA, inventories back at 100%. "Excellent work." She looked straight at me. "Except you, Marcus. You tried to resign." I lifted my arm, the one the scanner had burned. The wound had healed into a barcode. Trish's smile widened. "See? You're already branded. That's the first step of management." I ran. Down the tall aisle, past the ghosts of laughter and jingles, through doors that shouldn't have opened but did. Every exit led back into the same place. No matter which way I turned, I ended up at lane 13. The belt was running again. The blood was gone. The scanner waited, red eye pulsing like a heartbeat. The PA chimed once more. Final transaction incoming. The belt started moving backward, pulling me toward it. I fought it, slipping on the wet towel. The hum deepened until my teeth burst. From somewhere behind the scanner, hands reached out, pale, polished, countless. They grabbed my wrists, my shoulders, my throat. All the shoppers, the workers, the dead, every one of them trying to ring me up. Then, just as the light swallowed everything, another sound cut through, a knock. 3 times. Slow. Deliberate. The hands stopped. The light blinked out. When my vision returned, I was lying on cold asphalt. The sun was coming up. The store stood behind me, ordinary again, no scorch marks, no broken glass, just a quiet, endless parking lot stretching toward Tulsa. A delivery truck idled near the loading bay. A man in a blue vest waved at me like nothing had happened. "Hey! You the new hire?" he called. I couldn't answer. My throat was raw. He shrugged, turned, and disappeared inside as the automatic doors hissed shut. My phone was still in my pocket. 3:59 a.m. I had one notification: "You have been clocked in, overtime approved." I sat on the curb, trying to breathe, watching the neon sign buzz to life. The letters flickered in order, perfect and bright: Eagle Ridge Massacre, now hiring. Then the last 2 words glitched. The bulbs rearranged themselves, one at a time, until the sign read: "Now hiring survivors only." Behind the glass, I saw movement, a shadow pushing a mop, humming the store jingle under its breath. Maybe it was Lily. Maybe it was me. Sirens wailed in the distance. Blue lights shimmered on the wet asphalt, but they never reached the building. They just circled endlessly in the fog. I started walking. Every few steps I looked back, half expecting the doors to open again. They didn't. The hum faded with each block until I couldn't tell if it was gone or just inside my head. At 5 a.m., a news van sped past, heading toward the store. The reporter's voice drifted from their open window: "Authorities call it a mass delusion. Eagle Ridge Massacre scheduled to reopen tomorrow at 6 a.m. I laughed until it hurt. I kept walking until the hum started again behind me. Soft. Patient. Like a receipt printing somewhere far away. By the time the sky turned orange, I was standing on the highway shoulder, thumb out, trying to hitch a ride toward anywhere else. But every car that passed had the same bumper sticker: "Shop the Midnight Moon Sale." The last one slowed, window rolling down. A woman smiled from the driver's seat, eyes glowing faint blue in the dawn. "Need a lift, hon? We're all headed to work." I backed away. The radio inside her car played the store jingle, warm and cheerful. Eagle Ridge Massacre, where the savings never die. The car door opened. And for a second, just 1 second, I saw my reflection in her window. Uniform. Name tag. Barcode on my wrist. The hum inside my chest answered hers. I smiled back.